Right then folks, welcome back. Here we are once again. My box of bolts has arrived, so we are going to carry on with doing some renovation work on the old cultivator here. To kick things off, we're going to open this up, check out the bolts, do a bit of a dry fit and see if I've ordered the right ones. Okay, lots and lots of boxes. Washers, big chunky nylock bolts and nuts. There's my bar, which is hopefully going to replace that. Length looks good. Right, so this bad boy goes in here and it's just got one through the back. Look at those bad boys. They are massive. Oh, not quite fitting. No way, man. Oh, just not fitting. Right, I've got the coach bolts. So these are supposed to go through here, which they do. That's supposed to go through there and through there. Lengthwise is pretty good. So yeah, they're going to get the job done. Right, we've got some more chunky ones. Oh, that doesn't go through there. Man, just a smidge too big. They look the same as well. My measuring is obviously rubbish. Unless they're a different fitting, it might not be metric. I'd be surprised they'll be European. And this last one here, it's just a massive load of penny washers. Right, well that's a bit of a chew, to be honest. I'm left with two choices. Drilling that out by like literally a mil or two to make that pass. And to be honest, that's probably going to be the way to go. Because I only need to replace this one. I bought loads thinking I was going to replace them all, but it just seems totally pointless, to be honest. I think the best thing to do is just replace these ones. And then we're only drilling those out by a little bit. Right, I'll see if I've got a drill bit big enough, because I just don't think I do. A box of drill bits, that's the biggest one, it's just not big enough. I've got a little Dremel with a sanding block, so what I might do is actually just try just to open it up a little bit with the sanding inside there, because it's so close. Right, so I've got a little Dremel with a little mini sanding block, one of those perhaps. So all we're looking to achieve is that this big bad boy here can fit through there. Oh, it's so close. Look at that. I might actually screw through it. Damage the thread. Just persevere. Going sparks, it must be cutting. Right. Oh, it's on its way. Just a bit of perseverance, I think. What is the deal there? Look at that. Right, basically, conclusion. That needs to be well inside there. I had no idea. But look at how that's just bent that because of the force. Nightmare. Let's try it with this one. We're going to put it all the way down inside, as low as it will go. If it does that weird thing again, then I have no idea. But we're not far away. Honestly, it's so close. Right, I'm going to order a drill bit. I'll go and buy a drill bit because otherwise we're going to be here all day. While we're waiting for the drill bit scenario to be resolved, we might as well crack on and try and replicate this bit that broke. This is obviously one that I took off that we know is working. So we just need to essentially fabricate a new one. We've got the spring, which is fine, and we've got that, which is fine. So it's just this bit we need to fabricate. Bar with threaded ends. Looks like a nut there that's then passed through a hole and then welded in place. Right, so I ordered a galvanized bar, which is the right length. And I also ordered a nut. Now, fair enough, it's a nylock nut, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to get the job done. So that's that bit kind of taken care of. I've also got a piece of steel, 35mm wide, 6mm thick, a meter. We set it by the meter. And it's the right size, it's the right thickness. I'm going to cut a bit off with the grinder. I'm going to have a go at trying to fix it up. So first things first, we'll just cut a bit off. I'm going to cut it oversized just in case I make a mistake. That bit there is 51, so let's say 50. The other side's 50, that's 100, and another 50, 150. So that should give us plenty plenty of play, so we'll just lob that off with the angle grinder. It's 200, so we'll mark 100 in the centre. We're going to start off there with a pilot hole with the intention of then being able to fold this round and then cut off the excess. So we're going to get a little wee pilot hole drilled. Got our centre mark that way, 35 mil, so that's 15, 17 and a half. Just check the position of that, it's close enough. Slow going, but you just got to chip away at it. So now we'll just slowly increase the size of the bit and open up the hole. It's getting pretty tough now, so I'm going to clamp it in the vise. I don't want it to bite and twist and rip my hand off. This is taking ages as well, so I'm just going to wait for the drill bit and get it done properly. Right folks, a few days now it's passed, drill bit's arrived, let's give it a test. Okay, it's finally through. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, it's going to get the job done. Now we know the drill bit's working, we can finish this off. Widen this bad boy as well. So the idea is, as you can see, there's the shaft coming through the hole and it's welded there. So ideally, we're going to be welding this in here. It's quite an oversized hole. We're going to get plenty of weld in there. It's the right length. We need to slide this further down so it replicates this bit basically, and then get it all welded up and stuff. Before I do that, I think I'm going to have to remove the galvanization off this, just so it'll weld a bit better, and the nut as well. And we're going to do that using a little bit of acid, just watered down with a bit of water. So I'll get that set up in a Tupperware now for you. Couldn't find a Tupperware big enough, so I've got this Pyrex cooking dish. Just going to add some water first. Just cover it with a little bit of water. And there we go, it's covered now. Pop that nut in there as well. And this is sulfuric acid. Just going to pop on the old safety specs. And just pop a bit of this in straight into the water. Should see a reaction, fairly sharpish. We can see bubbles. There we go. Hopefully it'll go like a dull grey colour, and then we can move on to the next bit, which is basically attempting a bit of welding. Right, this is pretty much stopped fizzing, so it looks like the acid has removed the galvi. We're left just with a bit of steel now. Just to stop the process happening, rinse it with a bit of water. There we go. Just remove this safely as well now. I can move these glasses now. Okay, so let's get this nut where it needs to be. There she goes. Okay, that's enough. Right, there we go. So that's the original with the U shape, the weld and the nut. And what we've got here is we've replicated that basically, and we've left just enough to sort of almost plug weld that. So that's the next step. Nah, the vise has had it. I'm gonna have to go and get another vise because I've got no chance otherwise. Right then, new vise on board. The only other little fella, so what else can we do about that? Not much. Got my welding set up just down there. Just going to clamp that onto the rod there, and hopefully just run a bit of welding there. Right, so the rods I've got are 1.6 mil, 40 volts, So I've set the inverter up to suit. I've got a rod in the end ready to go. Move this up here. So I've got a bit of space. I'm just going to give it a little test just on the end there. See if I can get an arc, which I can. Just going to use the vice grip so I can actually hold it. And then we're just going to pull a load of welding in there. Feels pretty solid. Let's knock some of the slag off and see how it looks. It's ugly as hell. Get the grinder on it and tidy it up a bit. For the most part, it looks pretty good. This sort of area here, as we're going around, that looks all pretty good. But the inside still looks pretty rough, so we can definitely properly fill that full of weld, I think. So now we've got it plugged full of weld. Chip the slag off and then have a grind and see how it looks. So it's still got a few cavities, but not many. So I reckon another go on the weld and we should just be about done. Right, I'm no welder, but I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. What we're going to do now is we're going to weld the nut to the bar and also weld the nut to the rod. Right. Okay, so now just the rod to the nut. Right, let's get the slag off, see how it looks. Looks pretty solid to me. The welder on the bottom's pretty good. Right, just a quick test. Popped it in the vise there, and then that looks pretty solid to me. Right, that's pretty good. It's cooled down a bit now. So now, as you can see, we've kind of replicated that now, but obviously we've got to make this U shape and then pop some holes in there as well. Lengthwise, we're pretty much bang on, which is cool. So just got to bend these now. And I've clamped it down here to where I want the bend to be. And I'm going to try to get it as hot as possible with a blowtorch and then just bend it round at 90. It's starting to go blue. If I put too much pressure on it, I'm going to actually go pop the weld. Need to get it really hot. You can feel it starting to get elastic. It's starting to go. Let's see how that looks. It's definitely at 90. And interestingly as well, is it's actually opened up the weld as it's bent round and snapped away, leaving a cavity where more weld can go in. We obviously need to do the same thing either side, but I don't know whether, because the material is quite thick, you know, I'm a mile off what to do. I think realistically, I think we need to just forge it. Get it in the forge, get it super hot, and then hit it with a hammer and try and get a bit of form out of it. Because as it stands now, it's not really good enough. You see? It's supposed to be like that, and obviously it's a much steeper. Right, that's a first thing in the morning job. It's far too hot now for that. Morning folks, next day now. We've got the forge cranking and we've got the piece in there getting hot. If you haven't seen the video about how I've done this forge, it's floating around up here somewhere. You can go and check that out if you like. It's been in there for about 10 minutes. I think it's still got a while to go, so we'll leave it there for a bit longer. Right, so just before I pull the piece out of the fire, I haven't got an anvil. I've set this up here, clamped it down to the cultivator, because this is the distance that the piece has to travel around, this width here. So I can essentially bang it and get it in shape. But I'm also going to use the side here, possibly the side there, got a lump hammer and a sort of claw hammer because I don't have any more hammers just now. Hopefully that'll be enough to get the job done. Okay, it's definitely getting hot. Let's see if it's hot enough to give it a whack. It's actually pretty good. The heat coming off it is insane. Let's get it back in and we'll do the other side. Lost the weld. Deal with that afterwards. Right, so the hole is now off centre. What a nightmare. What I'm going to do, I think, to be honest, is forge this piece first, then put a hole in it, because obviously that's all gone to cock. So let's cut another piece of that. Got another piece of steel cut. Let's get it in on forge us. Right, so I've repositioned and I've clamped it down again. And what I'm thinking is, when the hot steel comes out, I'm going to clamp it here, to which is that's where it needs to go anyway, similar to this one, and then get this, and then just bend it round, and then try and get it all the way around, and then hopefully with the clamp in place, flip it over, and then maybe do some work, hammer work, just to finish it off. But we'll see how it looks after the first bend. Right, it's come out the forge pretty hot this time, which is cool. Let's get back in the fire. So one of the issues I'm facing is I can't get the material because it's so thick. It's 6mm bar. I can't get the material to bend how I want it to. It just won't form because it's too thick. It's got a natural sort of curve it wants to take. And without an anvil and a way to really hit it, I'm struggling. So I actually think the piece that's in the forge just now isn't going to be long enough. I'm going to have to cut a longer piece, go for its natural sort of curve, then cut it down to size and drill it. But we'll see how we get on after this piece comes out the fire for a second time. To be honest, we're almost there, I think. You know what, that's pretty good. Right, let's try and get that twist out of it. Bit more heat. I'm really done. There we go. Got it nice and straight. Both sides are even. Looks pretty good. Nice even curve. Perfect sort of size. Fits where it needs to go. We've got enough there as well, material there to make the holes and also just trim a little bit off at the end there. For the most part, that's pretty good. Right, we'll leave that cool down and then we'll see about drilling that hole up there and getting the thing welded back up. Right then, this is cooled down now, enough to work with. I've also cleaned up this bit, removed all the old weld and got it back to nice shiny metal, so it's good to be welded. Got a metal drill bit, smallest one. I'm going to aim for the centre and just slowly widen it out. pretty central, I'm happy with that. Let's move up a bit. Okay. Job's a good one. Right. Let's tie that up with a grinder, I think. Get it ready to be welded. I can't get the grinder on the inside, so just going to tidy it up with a file. Okie dokie, happy days. Right, so what I've got going on here now is I've moved to the floor. I've got my straight edge, which I've aligned with this straight piece, and I've also aligned the screw part to keep the gap the same. Put a little stone under there to level it up, and now I've pretty much got it how I want it to be. Okay, that's raised it up just enough to keep it in the center of the hole. Everything's looking nice and straight and nice and level. So I'm going to turn the generator on, and I'm just going to throw a little tack in there, try and keep it in place so I can then move to the vise and do a proper job welding. We can wait for that to go cold, and then we'll bosh off the slag and see if the weld's any good. Right, it's been a while. Let's get this slag off. That looks pretty solid to me. Got all that weld in there now. Definitely changing the rod was the way to go. Right, now we've got to think about drilling up some holes here. I'm actually going to line it up with the bracket and start the pilot hole. So it's got to go through that hole there, and that's as far forward as I dare. So obviously I'm reckoning about there. Okay, I've got it started. Looks actually pretty good, centralized. So we're going to carry that, move that to the vise now and carry that on through to the end. Wow, that is a good bit. Right, let's have a look. Yay, it fits. It's just on the cusp of fitting. Drilled it too far back. God damn it. I've actually drilled the hole literally a couple of mil too far forward. That is a terrible mistake. The only thing I can do is open that hole up a bit more and obviously do a better job that side around. Damn. Just going to attempt to open that up a bit. So for this next hole, rather than going for the centre, I'm going to go a bit further over, not by much, and give me that bit of extra space that I need on the other side. So now you can see the hole that side is slightly off centre. I think what we can do now is widen that up. So we'll just go through the steps again of enlarging the hole. Yay! Alright, let's get this lined up. See if it's got the job done. There we go. It's all the way through. It's not bad actually. That actually looks pretty good, even despite that. Right, we're going to open up this inside nut here with the big drill bit so we can actually pass this bolt all the way through, get this in place and see how it looks. See through. We're going to have to drill out that one as well, the back one. Oh, you are joking. Oh man, that is a nightmare. The sad reality of not knowing what you're doing. I've snapped the bit off. Now I'm going to have to get it out. And obviously then finish the hole. See if the vice grips will get the job done. Oh, they will. There we go, that was easy enough. I'm almost there. It's so annoying. It's not going to get any more broken. I'm just going to ram it home. Right, will it go through? Please go through. Goes through. Right, sweet. Let's get back to it then. I've got that bolt in there. Again, it's not very happy about it, but it's through. Let's see if we damage the thread on this one. The thread's knackered on that. I'll have to remove that. One thing I've noticed is these don't actually align very well, which is what causes the issue with the bolt going through like that. You see they're too wide. So at some point in the past, they've obviously taken a bit of a hit. I think what we need to do is get some heat on this one in particular and try and bend it back a little bit, or maybe get some mechanical advantage in and bend it back. But we'll try a bit of heat first because that'll do no harm. Leave that for 10 minutes. I think I use the vise just to help pull it in. Just make sure it fits, which it does. I'll even crank the vise a bit more. That's it. We'll just leave the heat on there for a little bit longer, and then we can let it cool down, then we can remove the vise. At least we've sort of straightened that up a little bit, which means that the bolt now should pass without damaging the end there. We'll see. Right, we just got battered by the rainstorm there, and it was just a mad paddock trying to get all the tools and stuff inside. This is where we're at. I was heating it up and I had the vise clamped on here. I took the vise off, and as you can see, it's definitely shrank that gap now. It fits this piece in here now perfectly. Really snug. And then it was a bit twisted. This was like twisted upwards like that, so I kept the heat on, and it's the shiny marks there where I was whacking it down, keeping the heat on, whacking it down, and basically now I've got to the point where this bolt will now slide fairly freely in and out. So I'm pretty chuffed with that. So now really all that's left is to put the forge back on, get that cranking, and get this piece now into the forge and hardened. I'm going to lob that off with the grinder actually. And then I've got another bolt, not this one, this one's got the threads was damaged with all the whacking. Another one I've just got it in the acid, just removing the galvanisation, and that needs hardening as well. And then after that we can build everything back up, and we're not far away. I've got myself a metal tray that's big enough to fit that in. I'm going to fill this full of old used cooking oil and use that to quench it, and I'll do the bolt at the same time. So with that said, I'll lob that off and get the forge going. Right folks, hair dryer's doing its thing, oil's ready to go, on a slight angle so there's a bit more depth this side for the higher part. The forge is cranking. I'm just going to try and get a nice even heat because it's quite a big piece, but we're almost there. And we've got my bolts, which has been stripped for the galvanisation, ready to go in as well, so we're not far away. This has been cranking for a good while. I'm going to have a look at the bolts because obviously it's smaller, so it should take less energy to heat up and leave the big long spindly thing that we've fabricated in there a bit longer. What I've got, last time on the video when I was built and tested the forge, I was using a digital thermometer to try and gauge the heat that was in the piece before I quenched it. And you need 850 degrees or cherry red is ideal. The other way to do it is to test it with a magnet. So I've got a magnet here, I'm going to pull the bolt out. If it's lost its magnetism, it's ready for the quench. So I'm going to do that now because I can see the forge is starting to lose a bit of heat. Jeez, it's still hot though. Cherry red, no magnetism. In for the quench. Perfect, that looked really good. I can see inside there that the other piece is also looking pretty good as well, so we're going to get that out and give that a go too. Yep, perfect. Okay, excellent. So we managed to get it all inside the oil, fizzing away. It smells like chips. It was very cherry red and there was no magnetism on there either, so in theory that should have hardened it. We're going to cover this up, let that cool down, and then have a bit of an inspect in a bit once it's done. But yeah, the forge definitely gets to temp, that's a fact. Okie dokie, let's get these out of here now. Right, go and put these in the oven, well, the barbecue, and get them tempered. Got a thermometer in there, so we'll come back and check once it's up to temperature, and then we'll leave it in there for an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. This has been cranking for almost 2 hours now, looking very black. So I'm just going to knock it off and then just leave it cool down overnight, and then in the morning get to putting it together. Right then, here we are. Next day now, in the afternoon. It is stinking hot already, so this might be brief, but I've got the bolts and the new piece here that I've made out of the bar boss. They're looking pretty black. We're going to give them a quick clean up with the brush, and then we're going to test them to see if they've actually gone hard. I'm going to test for hardness with a file just on the edge. Now in theory it should just skim off rather than bite in, but who knows. It still bites, but definitely, yeah, it doesn't bite as well. So hopefully that's done the job. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick mock-up, make sure we've got all our bits, everything in place, and we're not missing anything. Right, so this bad boy goes up in here. Even with the heat of the day, the metal expands. Okay. And then this bad boy, looking at the other one, that drops on there. That drops on there. This goes through here first. Need to pivot this. That's it. Okay. That's the original bolt, which goes through here. Right, sweet. So we just got this big nut that goes on here, but on here as well. It seems to work fine on this thread. Let's try and crank it down. I don't want to damage the thread, so I'm going to go real steady. Now it's gone hard, which makes me think it's cross-threading. I don't think it's the right nut. I think I've ordered the wrong one, definitely for that. So what I'll do, I think, is I'll nip off to the shop with a spare bolt and a spare threaded bar, because I do have more, get the right nut for the job, rather than forcing it and damaging all this work that I've done. For now, we're going to leave it like it is and move on to another thing, which is replicating these feet. So I'll show you what I've got and what I'm thinking. Check this bad boy out. We popped over to the tip and the boy just had this sat there. It's got Coca-Cola written on it, so I think it originally was a foot for a parasol. And it is the same, if not slightly wider than this piece here. What I'm thinking about doing is cutting out oversized piece of this steel, getting the coach bolts drilled out and then squared off. Well, first of all, using the grinder to get some shape out of it, and then putting it into the forge to get these curves and using this one underneath it as the template. So drop the flat bit on top, crank it down with the bolts, work on it with the hammer, remove the bolts, put it back in the forge, just keep doing that for as many times as needed to get this shape. Got a huge piece of steel, so I've got plenty of room for error. You know, if you line it up like that, just cut it oversized, you've got plenty of material. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. Only I'm going to do it early in the morning because it's so hot just now. Lighting the forge just seems like a bonkers thing to do. So we're nearly there. We'll leave it like that and we'll maybe come back first thing in the morning. Right, sweet.